excited today. We got all kinds of
I am as well.
we're gonna be doing. I love it. When I have a day that I get to be chasing beasties all day, I'm like,
so good, isn't it? Doing what we're meant to be doing. That's the thing.
Exactly. That's where the power is at. It's not just about knowing how to do it, but it's to enjoy what you do, to really love it. And I do. I adore what I do.
Yeah. It's not even work, is it? It's just not.
No, it's just pure pleasure. The only work part is the emails and the reports.
Yeah. The admin.
The admin side. Yeah. Definitely. It would be nice, though, to have that for someday and just have somebody covering that for me so I can just kind of do what I'm good at instead.
But it's hard letting go. That's the thing. It's hard letting go. You know what we were just saying? So, you know, I just kind of, I just take it all on. I take it all on, and then I get overwhelmed. And I've had a few people come and help me, but it hasn't worked out.
Good morning. See the comments?
I can see them. Yeah. Brilliant.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. So nice to be here with you all. So how did you sleep last night, Casca? I've been having crazy dreams the last few nights, but I forget what they are within 30 seconds of waking up.
Well, let's be honest. I have dreamt about you since Thursday. So you've been in my dream state every single night since Thursday.
I'm very busy.
We've done everything from line dancing to...
You know, I
lying over Egypt.
Cancer. Maybe that was me.
Yeah, it's been very. I've dreamt about you every single night. So last night I didn't have the greatest of sleeps. I could not get to sleep, and there was a lot going on in my house. So I just had to keep calling in, clearing, calling in, clearing. Dogs were up and down, cats were up and down. The same for you.
Minus the dogs and the cats, my night was the same. I'm pretty sure it was earthbounds.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I just kept hearing creaking in my house, and then somebody touched me, and I got chills, and I was like, I swear to God, Fergus, if that's an earthbound, you better Spartan kick them out of my room.
Yeah, so I had something similar. Yeah, I felt that something was fanning me over my face, and then I had, obviously, you know, I'm going through this like shift now, so I've got some new people coming in and out, and I have to keep like questioning to see if they are of the light or not. And then I had this being that's been around since last night, and I still keep questioning to see if he is of the light or not.
The veil being thinner is causing a lot of confusion and problems for people. I had a client last week who her husband came home, and she was chatting with him in the kitchen. And then she goes into the other room to do something. And she looks outside and his truck isn't there. And she's like, how did you get home? And she goes out there and he wasn't there.
That's insane.
And she was so spooked. She's like, holy shit, who was I just talking? Literally just talked to somebody in the other room.
Laura.
Then we found out there was another version of him that came home in a timeline. She timeline jumped.
That's what I find is happening to a lot of people now, and it's freaking people out, is the timeline.
I mean, she was spooked for sure.
Yeah. And I'm finding, like, with my clients, a lot of them are timeline jumping and really not sure what to do with it all. Just not sure what to do with it. Don't even really know what's happening.
I mean, we have communication with spirit, and spirit has a pretty good idea of what's happening usually. And even they're just kind of like
baffled.
They are, because the energies are intense, and the amount of, I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the NPCs are kind of losing their shit too. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
The NPCs are going slowly.
There's been a kind of increase in that over the last kind of 2-3 years, isn't it?
I asked about it, and the guide said it's the energies. They're saying the energies coming in are making people go a little more.
Because it's too high, isn't it? Like the NPCs, they can't deal with the high frequencies.
No.
That's why they're conking out, aren't they? They're just conking out, basically. And
but even the people who are awakened, even we're kind of going, holy shit! Like this is not what I was expecting.
No.
When I was expecting the 5D shift, I'm not going to lie, I had more of a fluffy bunnies and rainbows kind of a thing going on. I was like, everybody's just going to be nicer to each other. Everybody's just going to start, you know, like getting along better, and people are going to be more intuitive, and their gifts are going to come online, and everything's going to be great. And now it's like chaos. It is like straight up apocalyptic chaos.
It really is, because the thing is, this is what I've noticed, is that if you haven't if you haven't had firmer boundaries with yourself and your relationships, and you're still allowing the toxicity to affect you on any level, whether it's family, love, work, whatever it is, and you aren't addressing it, it is becoming loud, like really, really loud, and like cutting
There's bullshit.
Exactly. Like there's, we've had a lot of opportunity over the last few years to work through some of that chaos, and now it's like, look, if you're not ready, it's just gonna become really loud. So
a lot of things over the last few years, like, I don't know about you guys, but right around the beginning, right before COVID hit, 2019 was one of my most challenging years of my entire life. Anybody else have that? The 2019 was their most challenging year. That was the hardest year I ever had.
Yeah.
And I was leaving South Africa that year. And that was a really, really tough time. And I actually found out, I've been going through some stuff recently. So, understanding the context of our worst trauma kind of helps us to understand why we had to go through that. And I got put through the ringer yesterday. I actually found out, was it 2 days ago? I found out that the reason for my biggest heartbreak in life was orchestrated by my soul guide.
Wow, yeah.
The biggest heartbreak I ever had was orchestrated by my guides. They were the ones that planned the whole thing.
To get you into place.
They had to move me out of South Africa, and without having what happened to me, the worst thing that ever happened to me, it was awful.
Yeah.
And it was all planned. That was part of their plan to reroute me back to where I was supposed to go. And I said to them, I was like, so wait a minute, you're telling me that you had to intentionally break my heart just so I would be rerouted to where I was supposed to go in life? Yeah. And they're like, yeah.
Well, what would you have done if they hadn't have done that? Where would you be now? And do you know the beauty in that? The beauty in that is that whilst your heart was breaking, you were shifting some deep, deep karmic trauma on such a big level. And that's powerful, because it wasn't just about getting you to where you needed to be. There was so many other levels that were being affected.
I do get it, but at the same time, I'm like, wow, I wish we could have just had a conversation. And they could have been like, Laura, you have to go back to the US. See, there's no other place in the world that is where you need to be right now. You have to go back to the US.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, my 2019 self, there's nowhere in the world that I would want to go less. I would literally have rather moved to Timbuktu than go back to the States. They had to drag me back, kicking and screaming and begging for anything else. But that's where I had to go. And I was too stubborn to listen. And I just was ignoring it. And they had to pull out all the stops and leave me with absolutely no other option.
Wow.
I know, right?
Now you see why. Because you look at what
that was really rough. That was the most painful thing I've ever gone through. And then to find out that it wasn't even necessary, really, to think about it. If I had just gotten on a plane and went home, none of that would have happened. None of it would have been necessary.
Yeah, but you see, you wouldn't have done that. And all those deep layers of karmic trauma needed to be addressed so that by the time you got back to America, you could rebuild yourself. While you were still carrying all that karma and all that trauma, you didn't have enough space to rebuild yourself. So you had to kind of shed it.
They told me I would have died if I had stayed in South Africa. They said entities knew who you were and you didn't know who you were. That's the problem. When the entities remember who you are, but you don't.
Oh, God, don't.
They can use all of your insecurities, your past life trauma. They can use your thoughts against you. You have everything working against you. And back then, I was suicidal.
Yeah.
Because of how bad my life was.
Yeah. And the worst thing is, we have to take responsibility for our choices. That's it. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the external things are. We have to take responsibility for our choices. And sometimes, just that alone is a big one, because it's the choices that we make regarding our relationships, our location, our job, and blah, 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 blah. It's huge. How many times are we like, there's a plan, right? They talk about the plan. There's a set plan that your soul made before you incarnated. And some people call that God's plan. I mean, you are God. So technically it is God's plan. Technically you are source. So source's plan was set before you come in. And
to learn that your soul guides, their main purpose, like a lot of people think, well, what is the purpose of the soul guide? Well, is they're there for companionship? Yes. They're there for a bit of protection? Yes. But their main purpose is to keep you on that track, to keep you on your plan.
Yeah, it is.
And they'll have to, and if they have to hurt you to get to that point,
really
that was a powerful realization that they will shatter your heart if they have to get you back on your plan, because the plan is the most important thing.
Exactly. And you know, it's crazy, Lara, because a few years ago, so I almost died. And it was actually due to probably the most toxic relationship of all. Okay. And it was literally the entities working through that person that almost killed me. And
happens a lot.
I had to, you know, when I look back at that period of time, especially in the line of work that I'm in, and what I really should have initially have known better, you know, I should have known better, but the karmic connection kept me stuck in that loop, and it took me right to the very edge where literally the fact that I'm still alive is a miracle. But during that whole process of all of that, like the karmic, breaking that karmic bond, like clearing all that karma that took place, the level of healing that happened during and after that was the most magnificent miracle, because one of the biggest things that I was able to clear was my fear of abandonment, which was so deep. I had been carrying that for 33 lifetimes, okay, and it was huge. And when I look back at this incarnation, and I look at the choices that I have made based on that fear of abandonment, my God, terrible, shocking, okay. So that fear of abandonment, I really, truly, fully couldn't do the work that I really came here and am meant to do, still having that fear of abandonment. So I needed to go through that and clear that wound, that deep wound that was just like feeding through me, recreating those experiences. The loop was just going over and over, and every single lifetime.
How did you break it?
Well, I almost died. I literally almost died. That's how deep it was. And my daughter was born in the midst of all of that. And she came in with this really powerful divine feminine energy. I knew she was coming in. And she's from Polaris, you know, she's like true north. So when she came in and she broke the generational and the ancestral path. And then I worked through the karma. So we shattered both of those kind of those lineages as she came in. And really, one day I woke up and went, my fear of abandonment's gone. The one thing that determined all of my choices, everything, right from being a little girl, that was the thing that determined everything. The appalling relationships, it was the pilot light for everything. And it's completely gone. But I had to almost die. And let me tell you now, there were serious demonic entities at play during that process.
Yeah. They are all over.
They wanted me dead, and they wanted my daughter dead. Okay. There wasn't, that was it. There was no two ways about it. They wanted us both dead. And I will never forget, I was lying in the bed, and one of my ancestors, a big like Eastern European woman, came forward and she spoke to me in this really like thick accent. And she spoke to me about, I was basically drowning myself because my kidneys had given up. And she was like, you need to stop drinking the water. You know, it was such a dark experience. And that was one of the things that kind of was bringing me out. But had my daughter not actually induced my labor, we would have both died. I literally lay in bed for a week with sepsis. By the time we got into hospital and she was kind of born, we were both in septic shock. So it was, and when I tell you, I had things running all over the bed. I had things screaming in my ear. I had it sounded like I had a megaphone tuning up and down the whole time. It was riddled. The whole house was just riddled with demonic entities.
South Africans riddled with entities.
Well, this was actually in the UK. This was
in the UK. Well, the UK too.
But the UK is not much different, is it?
No, it's very much the same.
Yeah, but honestly, that process, the most agonizing, most painful, most scary, most tragic, it sounds like a horror film, okay? But what came out of that is the most liberating, powerful thing. And you know what the craziest thing was? All my guides were standing around. I didn't feel like anyone was actually helping me until I got into ICU. Then I had an angel called Cassiel that came forward, and I could feel him standing behind me. And then I just shifted. I mean, they thought I was going to be in ICU for 6 weeks, and I was out in 3 days. I was just like, ping. They were like, "You're a miracle. What happened?" Yeah, well, I'd got out of the house that was full of demonic entities. I've
said this so many times, but I really feel that pregnant mothers are harassed by entities so much. I didn't realize this until I got pregnant, and I didn't even know about entities back then. I had no idea. And there were certain things, and I've said this before, one of the worst thoughts I've ever had in my head that has popped into my head that I didn't know at the time wasn't me. But I was in the bed with my newborn son, and something in my head said, "Throw him out the window."
Yeah, you see.
And that's called absolutely horrified. I thought it was me, and I started sobbing uncontrollably. I was scared to hold him. I wasn't sure what was happening because I'd never had something awful like that pop in my head. And I was just in a mess of a state after that. And I didn't understand that I was a medium even then. And they were putting thoughts in my head. They do that. You'll walk along a bridge and they'll tell you, jump, jump. Yeah. And somebody who's weak-minded to that degree, or somebody who's been battered down so badly, somebody who's been really kicked to the curb, so to speak, in regards to entities, is more susceptible to that. They can be Jedi mind tricked into doing things like that because they think it's their own thoughts.
Yeah.
Horrific stuff, hey? Entities,
I mean,
especially the postpartum and all all that, I mean, they literally do come after you.
They do, because you're so vulnerable. You know that you are so vulnerable.
Your baby. My sister has a newborn, and I've been checking constantly. And my sister has been harassed by grays. I've had to check her pretty much every day for the last 2 months. And I was like, where did they come from?
Yeah.
I didn't understand. And so I checked her school. My sister works with special needs kids. So I did a bit of contact tracing, to find out where the grays came from. And they came from her job. They came from her work.
Yeah.
They were harassing the special needs kids at school. Yeah. So I clear school like once a week now. Clear it all out.
All of those vulnerable places are targeted in such a big way. You would think like schools and nursery schools, and you would think they should theoretically be safe places, but they really are not. And any child that is vulnerable is targeted as soon as they step into that space. But then
starseeds are a very bright light.
Exactly. And that's what you were saying about, like, the new babies coming in. The new babies coming in are of such a high vibration. So many of them are new souls. They know those babies are coming. They know they're coming, and it's almost like, here we go. Let's wait for them. And
they wait at the hospital. They literally wait and they pounce on them. I had one client whose daughter was dealing with severe anxiety, trauma, all kinds of horrific stuff. Do you know that her very first psychic attack, the baby, I found out, because I asked, they had disassociation age 0. And I was like, age 0? And I asked about it. Do you know what happened? The doctor that had her had attachments. So the doctor, when he went to catch her, dropped her and broke her collarbone, and she fell.
God.
Her very first moments of being born was a reptilian attached to the doctor intentionally dropping the baby and breaking her collarbone.
Yeah.
And she was a starseed, brand new Nordic Pleiadian, had never been on Earth before, never even experienced that level of pain. Nothing. And the first moment of being born was bam, immediate pain and reconstructive surgery and all kinds of horrible shit. And that was entity induced. They asked, is that part of her plan? Of course not. She's a brand new starseed.
No. Yeah, it's these greys coming in is something else, isn't it? And they are coming in. They are coming in. You know, as you know,
Greys
Laura,
are everywhere right now. I've never seen so many greys.
No, and as you know, like, you know, one of the biggest reasons why I've kind of had to shift in my work is because of the greys, because all this time of doing this work, 20 years I've been doing this, you know, and people come to me for entity clearings. I have, you know, this is what I do. And I'd never seen the greys. They'd remained hidden all
they
of
do
that
cloak
time.
themselves.
Exactly. And then I realized because they were actually interfering with me. I think they were trying to stop me seeing them. And that was the main thing.
They can do that. If you see them, you're aware. If they know you're a medium, they will cloak themselves. So you're not aware of what they're doing.
But now that's whatever that block was, it's gone. It's absolutely gone, because
it could have been a fear block, because technically a lot of people, when they're harassed as children by greys, they create their own blocks to protect their own subconscious. Because for example, like I have found so a client came to me and said both of her children were dealing with psychosis. It was a daughter and a son. So I checked on them, and they had a lot of disassociations in their early ages. Like we're talking age 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up, like da 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 da. So I go up and I'm like looking into, I'm like, what caused the disassociations? So the daughter, the sister, I should say, was being abducted. The brother saw it happen.
Was watching, bless him.
He was watching. He would watch the greys come in and take his sister, or to mess with his sister and do things to his sister. So he wasn't even the main focus, because there was something about her genetics, about her, that brought, you know what I mean, them to most of their attention. And he had some implants too. Like they did mess with him as well, but he was far more traumatized watching his sister be violated by the greys.
Yeah. The thing with these beings as well, okay, and you know, this isn't a story that I share a lot, but it's come up, and I actually feel okay sharing it, is that during my time of living in Portsmouth in the UK, I lived in Portsmouth for altogether 11 years, okay, and I was abducted while I was living there, and whilst that happened, I remember having that frequency change, okay, and the pain when I got up into wherever it was that I was. They were there was 2 people I knew that were in these like tanks that had these mouthpieces, and they were there already working on 2 friends of mine, and it was 2 females, and they had no compassion at all. It was just like, and I said to them, I really don't want to be here. And they were like, well, we know that, but if you can leave, they said to me, you can leave, but if you don't leave the way that we take you, you will feel the most amount of pain you could possibly feel. So they said, that's how you can leave. And I was like, they went, that's just how it is. So I said, so really, I don't have a choice. They said, no, you do have a choice. You can leave, but you're going to feel the most amount of pain. So what I did was I stepped near to where it was, and it literally felt as though my head was being squashed, like it was in a wrench, like a vice. Okay. So I said, so what happens now? And then they put this thing in my mouth, and that was it. I was put into one of these capsules, and you know, it's a really weird thing, because I never understood. The 2 other friends of mine that were in there, I said to them, do you remember anything? And most people don't remember their dreams even, do they? And they were like, Cass, you're so out there. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I've always been like that. And I was like, no, seriously. I felt like they put something in my nose, and I felt like they put something in my leg. That's what they do.
Yes.
Yeah. And basically, I have always had something in my nose ever since. Okay. That I've been to the doctor. They've given me everything. Nothing has ever gone away. And I had like 2 scars on my legs, which I thought could have been spider bites, but they weren't. And I had issues with these for years. Like
you know, you can get bit by astral critters. I had somebody that got bit by one that got bit by an astral spider. And I was like, really? Because I asked the guides, I was like, what happened to him? He was outside and all of a sudden he got bit. And I mean, there was a bruise this big on the guy's stomach. And we were like, whoa, what is that? And they said it was a big astral spider that came in and bit him. And I was like, they can do that? And they're like, yeah, they can.
I believe it, you know? So, I mean, there's so much tomfoolery and fuckery. That's a better word, isn't it?
It is pure fuckery is what it is.
Yeah,
because honestly, they can get away with it. It reminds me so much of like the movie Predator here, because we're dealing with an invisible enemy. And as long as, and people are all like, oh yeah, aliens invading. Aliens have been here the whole fucking time.
They've been here from the beginning. It's not nothing new.
Exactly. Yeah. They've been here the whole time. And that's part of the reason why the whole Prime Directive thing pisses me off. They're like, you're not allowed to go down there and influence. No, what you're saying is the good guys aren't allowed to go down there and influence. The bad guys are all over the fucking place. They
really are. There's an artist called Geiger. You know, the one, he actually did Predator. No, not Predator, Alien, didn't he? What's a Geiger? He's a German artist. And if you get a chance, take a look at his artwork, because it is not too, it's quite accurate to what's actually really going on.
Don't get me started. I started working on my book about the Orion Wars by going through the Akashic records with Adriana, and it's every movie you've ever watched all mixed together. It started Star Trek, Star Wars, The Matrix, Titan AE, like all the big sci-fi movies are why do you think they got popular in the first place? Because they're all fucking true in one way or another. In some regard, all of them, like Avatar, you name it, they're all true.
Yeah, it is, because they have to, by spiritual law, we have to know the truth. But it's so messed around that you think it's sci-fi, you think it's mythical. You know, we're conditioned to believe it's all fantasy and it's all fear, but actually the truth is, it's right in front of our faces, and it always has been. We've just been disconnected from truth. And that's the thing. And the reason why we're disconnected from truth, although the truth is everywhere, we've been disconnected from our truth, from the truth, from the source.
That was all part of their plan.
Exactly. And that was the best way. That's the best way, because once you are disconnected from your truth, everything else doesn't exist. It's like, it's just, and that's when fear can come in. It can be just plugged into us, and then it can have the party of a lifetime, you know, and until we start reconnecting to our truth, that fear will continue to have a party every single day, 24-hour rave. You know, that's what it is. 72-hour rave.
And I think that honestly, you know, we are getting to that point. It's just taking a process. It takes time. And people were like, well, why not? It would be nice if we could just wake up tomorrow and the shift had happened. Or people talk about that 3 days of darkness. Have you heard about that? The theory about how there's like, a lot of people have said this for years, that there is a potential for 3 days of darkness where everybody just kind of, like where people, one person even went under hypnosis and did a QHHT session, and they said this was under, I forget who the hypnotist was, but they record their sessions. But they basically were like, yeah, you're going to basically have 3 days where everybody is going to lose their shit.
Yeah.
They're either going to faint, or they're going to forget who they are, or they're going to, you know what I mean? Like people are just going to start acting really weird. Exactly. They're going to conk out. And then when they wake up, their gifts are going to be online. They're going to be able to perceive more around us. The planet will be changed. Like there's going to be, and I've heard that theory for years, and I'm not against it. It's hard for me to understand that, because I understand how much of a process this is. You can't just jump that far in frequency overnight. I mean, maybe you can. I guess you can't say really anything is impossible. The universe is usually like, hold my beer, let me prove you wrong whenever you say something is impossible. Yeah. But it's just, I've noticed that part of the ascension process being slow as we move up, it's almost like it's doing this. Like instead of, a lot of people are thinking, well, let's just shoot up in frequency. But if we do this, it makes it a little bit easier for people. Like it's going up and down a little bit. But it does continue up. But those little dips allow us to have a little bit of a respite from all of this. Like the energies are too chaotic.
Yeah. If we were to just recalibrate.
I think we would have everybody in psychosis. I think everybody would flip the fuck out.
which could potentially happen with three nights of darkness. Lock the door. Get a weapon.
There was a funny story back in, I think it was the 80s or 90s, where LA had a rolling blackout. It was a rolling blackout across LA, and people started calling 911 because they saw what they thought was a chemical cloud moving across the sky, but it wasn't. It was the Milky Way, because there was no light pollution. They've never seen the Milky Way before.
Crazy.
So humans we're not prepared for big changes like this.
We're not. People think they are. Everyone keeps going, bring it on, bring anything on. I'm ready for it. I'm ready. But realistically, are we ready? Because whatever we go through, we can feel individually ready, but are we ready collectively? And that's the thing. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter how solitary you may feel. You are here in a community doing the collective vibe, whether you like it or not. And whatever is taking place, it has to be collective. And that's why, Lara, the work that we do is so important, because, and especially what you're doing at the moment. I mean, it's on another level, because there's only so much space for everything that's taking place. And you think about what you're clearing. Like, I can't stop thinking about those chickens.
That was all Janet. Janet deserves all the credit for that. Janet and Marcella did that. For those who don't know what she's talking about, we crossed over, I should say we, but our team crossed over 1 billion chickens from a factory farm.
It's just unbelievable and beautiful.
Chickens were dying under duress. And when you die in a very low vibe, very fearful state, in a very low vibrational place, it's even hard for animals to cross over. So a place that's had factory farms that have been running for 20, 30 years could potentially have billions of chickens running around. And that's in the astral, so to speak. And so that's what Janet and Mars went and checked. And sure enough, they did. They found over 1 billion chickens and had to cross them over.
It's crazy.
And we're like, holy shit.
These poor chickens. And you know what the thing is? This is what I think. I mean, these chickens aren't even
running around at the pearly gates to let them in.
Everyone's trying to get them in.
Busy Rainbow Bridge with us, the billion chickens crossing. You need a big bridge.
Baby. But the thing that blows my mind is the fact that these chickens aren't even being reincarnated. They're not even. So that billion is just getting more and more and more and more. And when you think, even in the ether, I mean, how much space have we actually really got? In order for us to truly and utterly shift, that entire frequency needs to be lighter as well. We all need to be lighter, from our internal universe right through to however the multi, to the uni, to whatever it is. Everything has to be lighter. So there has to be a level of clearing and shedding.
I have literally said every single person you cross over, every entity you send to source is one more notch towards the shift.
Absolutely. And that's just amazing.
That's why I'm so motivated. Why do you think I'm working 16-hour days? I'm like,
keep going.
Because it is more than a labor of love at this point. It's a vocation. It's why I'm here.
Exactly. And I feel exactly the same way.
That's why the entities tried to stop us before we remembered why we were here and before we stood into our power. And now it's too late.
It's mad. I a few weeks ago I delivered a workshop, and I've written an ebook called Unplugged, and it just talks about the artificial grid and how many of us are kind of actually linked in through these cords. Okay. And before the workshop, so I was bringing in the dragons and the unicorns, and it was going to be a beautiful workshop, but the topic's quite heavy. Okay, it's quite heavy, and you've got to be ready to hold space, as Laura. You've got to be ready to hold space as well as deal, because when I do my workshops, I really want to teach and empower people to do their self-healing. That's the most important thing, because we are creating a safe space for people to heal. This is exactly it. Like, we are creating a safe space, whatever that container looks like, and it's different for everybody. That's ultimately what you do as a facilitator. You're creating that space. Yeah. So when I was teaching this workshop, possibly it was on a Friday afternoon, everything that could have gone wrong leading up to that workshop was going wrong, even down to my next door neighbor right outside. His car alarm kept going on and off, on and off, on and off. My next door neighbors on the other side, their dog was just howling and barking and screaming the whole day. Like that never normally happens. I had 2 houses down. They had like a drum and bass sound system literally a minute before my workshop was about to start. The sound system was so loud, my walls were actually shaking. They were going, and I just laughed. I thought this, and it was just ongoing the whole time. Then my technology started to play up. My guides were like, this is such important content here. They don't want you sharing it.
Yeah, they do.
You
They
know, I
will
was
play
just,
dirty, trying to get you
honestly,
to throw you off your
just,
game or to ruin your plan. Yes.
yeah, you know, thank goodness for the dark blue dragons and Archangel Michael and his legion of angels, because I was just like, disperse, please, go as far as you can to keep this space quiet so I can just do this workshop. And it did, literally on the hour. Everything just went quiet. But leading up to it, they were doing everything they could to really shake me and get me into a space where I was like, should I just postpone the workshop? But when you've got people that have signed up for a workshop, you can't postpone. You can't, because there's so many different time zones. And how do you ever make that up? You know, but they will do everything they can to stop us doing this work.
They have. In fact, this is the problem with them knowing who we are before we do.
Yeah.
And I had a client that came through last night. They booked an emergency because they were really having a hard time. And this is a new client. They just found my page. And they were very relieved to have found it. They're like, oh my God, finally somebody that can actually help me. So I checked. I wanted to know a little bit about this person because they booked it full detailed anyway. So it kind of helps us to get to know a little bit about their situation. And I asked, what is the client's vulnerability? What is causing, all these psychic attacks? And they said he doesn't know who he is. They're trying to stop him before he remembers, before he stands in his power, before he remembers how powerful he is. Because once he does, he's untouchable. So they ganged up on him. There were like 4 Lizzies on him. I was like, you cheeky little bastards.
Yeah.
So that's what they do, though. If they know that you're going to do something very important in life, and if you think about it, right? We talk about time travel and the importance of, knowing who we are, but we don't understand that the entities can do that. They can time travel. They can jump to different points in your life. Like, let's say they are aware of you in your 50s doing something really, really good. They can jump on you from your 20s. They can go back in time and tackle you when you're 20s, when you're in your most vulnerable period in your whole life, and make it 10 times more challenging and try to change your timeline. And people wonder about how these timelines work and all these different versions of us. And my favorite analogy for this is, I don't know if you had this in the UK, but we called them the Choose Your Own Adventure books. You ever remember those?
No, I don't know that. No.
They were books that had multiple endings and multiple. So you'd get to a point like at the end of a chapter, and they'd say, if you want to do option A, how would you choose the story to go? If you would choose option A, go to page 24. If you would choose option B, go to page 15. If you choose option C, they would give you a third option. And you could read the book in 3 or 4 different ways, because the book would have 3 or 4 different endings depending on which path you chose. So I love those books, right?
Love that. I really need to see those books. My children.
And it really is true, though, because you do have a set plan, right? You have your set book that you kind of wrote for yourself, but there are alternative endings.
Yeah.
And sometimes you write those alternative endings, and sometimes those alternative endings happen on their own in ways that you didn't plan or expect. And so part of your, soul guide's challenge is to try and keep you safe. So you're not going to be thrown completely off your plan, or that you're not going to end up with the wrong ending, so to speak.
Yeah. And, I think this is why it is so important from a really young age for us to start educating our children, so that our children are taught from as young as possible how to connect with their truth. Because when you are in your truth, that is when you're in your power. And, for many of us, especially us born like, 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe 90s. 90s is starting to get a bit more progressive, but none of us really knew, and I know you were similar to me, Lara. We had some really spiritual experiences from a very young age, but we dealt with those alone. And, my biggest gift from when I was born was I was just able to walk into the garden and birds would just land on me. My connection to animals was so strong. But entities really try to mess with that, okay? Oh, yeah. Because I've always believed, and my connection to animals is very strong. It always has been, and I love animals and horses, and it's a lot. But I had a real connection when I was very young. But my journey, the entities tried to block that. Okay, they tried to take that gift away from me in so many different ways. And let me tell you, the healing that you have to go through when you acknowledge something like that, it's so painful. It's so painful because I felt robbed. I feel robbed from that. I feel like part of my gift was robbed in the first 5 years of my life. But that's what you're dealing with, because when you come into this world, there is no way that you are going to be allowed to just step out in all your glory. It is never going to happen. This is it. And this is why it is with all these babies coming in now, and many of the souls that have only been here 2-3 lifetimes. Believe me, I am working with souls that have been here 2-3 lifetimes, and just the karma that they have taken on in those 2-3 lifetimes is massive. Okay,
some of them like feel that, though. You come in here and forget who you are. You could be on your very first time here. You're gonna rack up all kinds of karma credits.
Exactly, and this is why collectively we need to make this really big shift. We need to go back. We need to be the birth doulas, the death doulas. It all needs to come back, because these souls that are coming in now are huge. Okay, they are huge and they are powerful, and they're coming in with no karma. Okay, you think these lovely creatures all over Earth are going, come. What they're doing is come. Come. Okay, food. That's exactly it.
Yes, exactly. And starving out the entities is the best thing that we can do in that regard, to take food from them. So that's why I teach people about psychic protection. This is why I will not shut up about psychic protection, because every person that I empower and teach about psychic protection, I'm taking another meal out of the mouth of a beastie.
Exactly. And it's such an interesting thing, because I have a lot of friends that are healers, beautiful healers, and sound therapists and hypnotherapists, and over the years you accumulate beautiful connections, okay, of people that are here to serve. But do you know how many of them do not use the correct protection? And it's like what you're welcoming in when you are of service is on a different level to when you're not. Yeah. Your protection level needs. You think about doctors and nurses, that are really there to serve and help, or in any type of care profession. All right. Some of them have got no clue at all. And what you end up finding is so many nurses and doctors are taking on things like fibromyalgia, and they
every client. I have not found one client that didn't have grays on them with fibromyalgia.
Exactly. And it's
every single person with fibromyalgia I have found grays on them so far. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying I haven't found somebody that
haven't found it yet. They're being messed with. And these people are all so empathic. They are really, really, people with fibromyalgia are the most empathic souls. They are naturally lovers. And you can see they've all got, and this is no generalization, this is just from my work, what I've found, very similar stories of toxic relationships, narcissistic relationships, being used and abused in the workplace, all of that, because they've got these beautiful, giving, natural souls. So these are the souls that are even more targeted.
Yes. And I think it's going to get, yesterday all 5 of us got hit. And they're pretty dumb about it. Normally if it's a well-coordinated attack, they'll hit us all at once. Because then we can't clear each other. Then we got to reach out outside of our little circle. We have to go out to one of our other people and be like, hey, can you get rid of me? There's a fucking jar. They put us in a jar, basically, right? And every time they put us in a jar, I feel weird. Like I know I'm in a jar. I can feel that I'm you know, that things are weird. So yesterday we were trying to figure out what to do, and they were it was like whack-a-mole. I would get hit, somebody else would get hit. They clear me, they have to go somebody else. And it was like, and I was like, what is going on? It literally was like playing whack-a-mole. And so I asked, you know, what was happening. And I have a list too of regulars that I check. Every single one of my regulars had lizards on them yesterday.
Yeah.
And I was like, even the ones that have been doing much better for weeks, I hadn't hardly found anything in them except a couple of, you know, like demonics and things like that. No big galactics. They all had lizards yesterday. I was like, what is happening? And
something
the guy
was
said, they're out full force. They're being told. They're being commanded to get up there and harass humans.
Yeah. And
it was weird. I was like, you know what's crazy? I had a vision of them as well. Like, and I was wondering, I was like, how many are we talking, right? And I see this underground chamber, and I got head to toe chills when I saw this. Because I was making jokes yesterday about how, like, some of these reptilians are using soul projection. Like they actually like send their astral projecting to come up here and mess with us. They're not physically up here messing around. A lot of them are using telepathy and psychic attacks, you know. So you know what I saw? Just thousands of reptilians underground, all curled up. They weren't like meditating like a lemur, like you would expect. They were curled up in the fetal position. I watched, I saw them curled up in their form of like meditation in a degree. And I got head to toe chills, like literally a field of them, all curled up in the fetal position, doing psychic,
doing their thing.
Like shit. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know who put that in my head, but to see how many of them are underground that are sending their consciousness up here to mess with us. There's army underground. That's fucking terrifying. I was like, holy shit.
That's not a good vision.
It sounds like another sci-fi movie that we're literally in right now. And God forbid, I'm like thinking to myself, you know, a lot of people are like, well, if we're in the same frequency, what's going to happen? If we're moving up in frequency and then all of a sudden we match frequency, that's the Ryan Wars 2.0. That's we're back to the same shit we were doing 12,000 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Where so many of us came here trying to get away from that. But you see, this is why.
I didn't know it's down there. That gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it shows that karmic loops can be so small, yet so big. There's no.
I'd much prefer them sending their consciousness here than climbing up from wherever they're down there. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Down there.
Yeah.
Hopefully we have an earthquake that'll take out your cave system. Go on, Gaia. Go do some shakes and clear out all the stuff underground. Because
these guys are busy.
It's not just the reptilians that are part of the problem here, though. No. And I've started to recognize this because, the Greys are even they're not even the whole problem.
No.
There's beings that send them to do it. There's higher-ups that don't even you know what I mean? Like, they don't have to do the dirty work. They send their soldiers out to do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot that we're going to have to deal with in terms of the 5D shift. The 5D shift is going to be a lot more complicated than we think.
Yeah. I just find every couple of days things seem to become more complex. It's like when you start to your frame of reference, it starts to kind of shift because you're like, whoa, okay, this is like on a mass scale here. This is what we are dealing with.
The crazy thing too is they're ignorant. They don't know anything. They don't even. Some of them don't even know that females of their own species exist.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Because of how ignorant they're literally slaves, and yet they're programmed to think that they're doing some higher purpose. Like they're literally programmed slaves, and yet they're like, oh, I'm carrying on this big honor. You know what I mean? They're brainwashed. They're just as brainwashed as the average human.
Yeah.
And you don't realize what we're dealing with in that regard. Like the ones that are intelligent are the ones that are sending
sending them. And they're the ones that have been here for a very, very, very long time. Yeah.
So that's the question, is at what point do we deal with them? Because they're the ones that are the problem. They're the ones that are commanding armies to be made. They're the ones that are really controlling the shots. So it makes you wonder, like, we call them officers.
Yeah.
So we have the lackeys, the boots, what do you call them? The minions, so to speak. And then you have the lieutenants who are kind of like trying to prove themselves and trying to kind of one up each other. And those are the ones that are causing a lot of problems for people right now, because they're really coming out in full force going, let me show you.
And that's what they're trained to do. They don't know any other thing. That's all that they're trained to do. That's the only thing that they do.
Yes. So where do they come from originally? If we're talking about reptilians, they're not even from this universe originally. They were created in a whole nother universe. I've had to go down so many rabbit holes recently as to go in regards. If you want to know how reptilians came into being, watch Jurassic Park, because it's pretty similar. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
It's a galactic version of Jurassic Park, and you understand what happened. So it's one of those things that I feel, when we have our true understanding of who we are, when we have a strong connection to our spirit team, and when we know our plan, I think we're untouchable, personally.
I agree, because although a lot of this sounds doom and gloom, we've got to remember, like, we have been around a very, very long time, and we have been ready for this. But I explained this the other day as like a board game. Like, we are the end, to get to the end is like sovereignty. It's about really being able to get to that point. But you just keep going round and round and round and round. It's like a board game. But we came here knowing that we were here to do this, play this game, and get to where we were going to go. And it's about being really clever with the game as well. And again, it goes back to what we were saying. We have to start reconnecting to who we truly are and what we are. That's the only way.
Yeah. Well, I think that as we move forward, we're going to be seeing some changes that even the soul guides didn't anticipate.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be more optimistic when you don't see the whole the challenge that we're up against. The more I see the challenge, I'm like, holy shit, we signed up for a lot. There's a lot. This is a big plan.
Yeah, it is. It's huge.
It's massive. And in fact, it's probably one of the biggest plans that I could ever even fathom. And this is a plan
you can't even imagine.
This is a plan that traverses timelines, dimensions, and sometimes even hundreds of incarnations.
Yeah. Thousands
even. Yeah. So holy shit. Meanwhile, our soul guides are dropping little breadcrumbs trying to keep us from getting off the plan.
But one of the biggest things here is that this plan, not only have we got to go like do all this, there has to be unity. There has to be unity. That's one of the biggest things in order for us to get to where we need to go. Because don't ever forget that, like the saying, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And that's been one of the biggest plans right from the beginning, because as long as there's divide, then there's no strength.
Yes.
So throughout all of that, there has to be unity. And when I think about that, sometimes I think, oh my God, like that's a big one. That's a really big one, because first there has to be unity within.
Yeah.
First, there has to be unity within. So again, and unless we are really doing that work and self-healing and getting that unity within, we're never going to get that unity without. Like someone said to me once, I was doing some teaching in a school a good few years ago, and this beautiful man came up to me and he said to me, if you could suggest one thing that could save the whole world, what would it be? I went, he said, if you could tell people to do one thing, because he was very interested in my belief compared to his. And I said, I'd tell everybody to meditate.
Yes,
and he was like,
to teach that in school. Yes.
And he was like, what? And I said, he went, what? You think by everybody meditating, that could heal the world? And I said,
absolutely.
I do. I think that's a good starting point, because once you're connecting to your breath, then you're connecting to the present moment. Once you're connecting to the present moment and you start to connect to yourself, fear starts to slip away. And if there is no fear, wow, game on. And he was just like,
and ignorance too. Ignorance starts to melt away too. Yeah. Fear and ignorance are the main reason why humans never seem to get along.
Exactly.
So, and especially, you know, when you move up in frequency, you start to realize that any form of aggression against another person is another act of aggression against yourself, because they are you.
Perfect, 100%.
So anytime somebody pisses you off, say, what are you trying to teach me? What's to learn from this?
Yeah. I'm grateful.
Otherwise you'd be indifferent. Otherwise you wouldn't have a trigger.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I'm also really, you know, fond of in regards to this community is the ability for people to help others understand it. And as you said, you can't do this alone. You can't. We've tried. Many of us have felt alone for a long time. And even for the work that you do, right? You've been doing spirit release work for quite some time, a very long time, actually. You've been in training for this your whole life in that regard, to be fair. And yet Casca has recently joined our academy, and she took my training. And if you don't mind, I just want to hear your thoughts on that, because you had your own set way of doing things.
Yeah, I really have.
Long time. And then to be thrown into somebody else's teaching to tell you a whole new way. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you know, there's actually a really beautiful backstory to this. And I think it's so important for your community to hear this, because, you know, I have been on this journey. You know, I'm a Yasui Reiki master and an angelic Reiki master, both of those for quite a long time. So through that, I was connected to the dragons and then the unicorns. And I'm now a dragon and unicorn Reiki master, but both of those modalities are from my own lineage. So nobody taught me those. The dragons and the unicorns have taught me how to work with them. I haven't had anybody teach me. So I'm a natural teacher. I was born a teacher. And I've always said, like, you could give me anything and I could teach it. Okay. So to be a spiritual teacher is I'm living my truth. I love it. But I haven't had many skills taught to me from other people. Okay. Yeah, I have literally done this work and been guided. And then I've read books and I've experimented, but I've really, really trusted my guides and my team. And that's how I work. And maybe a little bit kind of like free, but my ethos, everybody that comes into my academy, one of the things I always say is, look, I can give you the tools, but your soul already knows what to do with it.
Yes, you're remembering.
Your soul is old. I don't want you to be bogged down with hand positions and rules. And I don't want that. I want you to feel your power and feel your strength and allow yourself to be free in the modality. Here's the tools. Do what you've got to do, because everybody is powerful in their own right.
Yes,
so I've been saying for the last year, because I was getting to a point where I've had some really challenging clients come up, and I've loved it because they've really taught me a lot. So I've had a lot of growth in this last year, and I've cleared stuff and then it's come back, and I've cleared stuff and then it's come back. And, you know, as you know, Laura, I was working with the spirit of ayahuasca and with Cambo, with one of the clients. That taught me so much about the energy and the spirit of plant medicine, and you know, and obviously black magic as well. I've seen it all. So I've been saying to myself, I really need to do some training. I felt like I got to the part where I needed to do some CPD. Okay. Yeah. But because I've done this work for a really long time, I've never felt like, I've looked at other courses, and I've never felt that I don't want to invest and then think, I fucking know all this.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm big-headed. It's just because
your guys have done an excellent job of training you and reminding you of all this.
Exactly. And I've built such a beautiful community of healers around the world that love the work that we do, especially working with the dragons and the unicorns. Okay. So, you know, it's been very challenging for me. And then I found somebody who I identified with, who also does the multidimensional work. And I thought, right, this person looks like I could do some training, you know. I felt a bit aligned. every time I was about to kind of maybe invest, something stopped me. And then I had this really mad experience 2 weeks ago where I was working on an 11-year-old girl and some greys appeared.
Little bastards.
And I said to my guides, what do we do here? And really all of us were stopped in our tracks. I'd already been having a long conversation with a Lizzie, okay, which they're not really that interesting to talk to. They're so
fucking stupid.
And I was just saying, look, but actually he was quite, in fact, he didn't, I know it sounds quite mad to say, but he didn't have such a bad energy. He actually went quite easily.
A lot of them are slaves. That's like, I understand that completely. Not all of them are nasty. Yes.
Exactly. So, eventually he went, but when these greys appeared, there was 4 of them and they had 3 cords going into this little girl's back. And so I work with cords. So I looked at them, look, there's not much communication going on with those guys. I can tell you right now, it's like different. I was like, so I said to my guides, what do I do here? I was surprised, I think
your guides are like,
I think one of the reasons I know why I do this work is because I'm not afraid. When I'm in that space, I'm not afraid. Look, I can walk down the stairs and a shadow can make me shit myself. But when I'm in that space, and my son loves scaring me as well, he'll do everything he can. And I literally, like I said, I'm so scared I'm accidentally going to punch him because he would jump out. Like,
you knew he had it coming.
When I'm in that space, I'm not afraid. Okay, I'm really not.
Being afraid and being startled are 2 very different things.
Yeah. I literally screamed. Someone walked across the road the other day, and I screamed at them. I went, they got the fight. They ran off. It's like it's ridiculous. I'm really highly strung sometimes. But when I'm in that space, I'm just like boom. So these guys came, and I said to my team, like, what do we do with this? And we all just stood. and really my team were like, and I work with the Arcturians as well, but even the Arcturians didn't, we all just stood. And I knew in that moment, something's missing in my work. Something is missing. And I think they were trying to show me that. So it was really funny. My team kind of huddled together and kind of huddled around them and pushed them. And I think I closed a portal. I really wasn't sure. I just thought I'm just going to fucking do that anyway. So closed the portal. And then the next day, another healing. A grey appears on its own.
And a different client.
And I was like, I don't believe this. I don't believe this.
I'm trying to laugh, but they are such little
because I'm like, I still don't know what to do. And for me, like, my healing work, there's a level of perfection, and however people might take that. I'm a Capricorn, so when I do something, I've got to do it to the absolute level of perfection. So when I'm working on a client and I actually think to myself, fuck, like, I might leave this client with a grey attached to them. Can you imagine, Laura? Like, it's not a good feeling. It's terrible. So I had that.
We're very concerned about healers being compromised by imposters or attachments. Yes, because it happens so easily.
Exactly. And so I felt a bit disheartened, and I think I got rid of the grey. Like, I think I did, but I really can't be sure. And then I've been working with a client for a long time. He's a very complex client. He's a very old soul. There's lots of karma connected to pharmaceutical companies, and there's so much there. So he's been very complex to work with. And he's been saying to me for ages, there's alien stuff. And look, I knew there was, but I never saw the greys. And then
because they cloak themselves a little.
Exactly. And then that was it. And then that was when I reached out to Lara. And again, what you guys have got to know is I don't have anybody to share notes with. I do this work. I don't have anybody to share notes with because I don't know anybody else that really works like me. Okay, because I've just got my own style. So, and the person that I was going to do, that I considered doing training with, actually said that I could share notes with him at a cost. And I thought, that's not what I'm looking for. I don't need that right now. It's not because I don't believe that, the investment is good. It didn't align with me. all of this came up, and then we connected, Laura. You went in, you did a clearing, you had a look.
Found 6 little fucking grays in your house.
Fucking honestly. And those guys were blocking me from seeing them.
There were 6 grays. I was like, there's little shits, man.
I know, because I was worried about my son. I was worried about my son because he's just, you know. So anyway, that was going on.
Usually, for the record, I normally find like 3. So they doubled up on you.
Exactly. And they were doing a good job. And I hate to say that because they were blocking me from seeing them.
Yeah.
And I know that they've been watching my work, and I just know. And wasn't it interesting, Laura, because as soon as we went in, Zach said her team didn't know what to do with them. And I already knew that because we were all standing there like a unicorn.
Because that's exactly what Zach said. He's like, oh, we didn't know what to do. The team was a bit like, whoa, there's 6 grays running around, and they got technology, and they can cloak themselves, and it's like whack-a-mole.
And you know, really, one of my gifts is to be able to see. I've shared healing with people, and they've gone into the underworld, and I'm down there going, hi. You know, I'm really at that work. So the fact that these guys have been hidden from me all this time was just like, and then I was like, Laura, I really need help with the grays. I really do. And you already knew. My team said to Laura, she needs to do the training. She needs to. And that's it. And so I've done it. And boy, oh boy, everything was lined up for me to do.
So did you actually learn something new though from our course?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yes.
And it's been so good because
Thank you.
I felt like I have got so much from it. I felt like I've got so much from it. And I feel like with what I already have and now bringing this into, I know that going into the year of the horse, everything is going to shift for me now. Okay. With this new method coming into how I work. And you know that as well, Laura. You can feel it. You know. Yeah.
Oh, like, the guys have told me, they're like, buckle up. Buckle up so you don't get whiplash. We're going to go fast.
Exactly. And I'm thinking,
they told me, they said, we've opened the dam a little bit. And I was like, a little bit? And they said, yeah. Over the next couple of weeks, you're going to notice a little bit more attention your way. And I was like, okay. They said this to me in Grenada the day I arrived in Grenada 2 weeks ago. I've gained 22,000 followers in 2 weeks. I was like, holy shit, you guys. Amazing. And Metatron was like, you're welcome. Holy shit. It has been a wild ride. And so I'm working on tightening my wheels, so to speak, so we can go faster without wobbling.
Yeah.
So and it's been a lot.
This is powerful, powerful stuff because, all year I've been told that there is a build-up to a really big shift. It's going to be a personal shift for me. It's going to be a big shift for everyone. There's like this big build-up for 2026. And this work is so, so, so important. Okay. It's so, so, so important. I was getting really stressed thinking, if I don't know how to work with the grays, I'm not going to be able to do my work. I'm not going to be able to. And now I'm able to understand what's going on, and it's a massive kudos to you, Laura, because
kudos to my guides. Every bit of knowledge that I put in there, that is not from me. That is them.
It's huge and it's beautiful and it's amazing. And the community is absolutely incredible.
I know.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And your dedication and your hard work that you have really just lived your truth flows into absolutely everything that is kind of manifesting now. The energy feels good. The energy feels good. It feels aligned. It feels right. It's of the light.
I'm just being myself, and everything is unfolding as it's supposed to.
You're living your truth, my girl. And you're doing so well, it's like kudos to you.
But I love the fact that now you're joining us, that you're no longer going to be on your own with this. You have a whole support network that have your back now, Casca. You're no longer alone in any of this.
I really need it because, you know, I look out the window sometimes and what I see, no one else sees. And I think, oh, fuck. Okay.
But because you know that, because you've empowered yourself and because you're able to control your gift, you aren't ending up as somebody who's being diagnosed as a bipolar schizophrenic or something.
Exactly.
Because you're standing in your power. That is the difference between somebody who knows who they are, knows their gifts, knows how to use them, and knows how to defend themselves versus somebody who's just walking around with all of that power without opening the package, so to speak.
Yeah.
So think of how many people in this world, if we could empower them and educate them and train them in awakening and understanding all this and doing this work, we could take all of these, unfortunately, you know, people who've been deemed mentally unwell,
I know,
empower them, educate them, bring them back to their, you know, to their, what's the word? Just bring them back to themselves.
Exactly. Their truth. That's it.
We would have so much more help. That's part of the plan.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. And I can't believe how many new members of my team have all just started jumping in. Like, they're all like, hi, we're here for the ride.
We're moving up a level, right? What happens when you're in a video game? You move up a level. You get upgrades. Yeah. You get all kinds of wonderful things that are, you know, new opportunities. So we're all leveling up right now.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I'm excited.
11 too, by the way, here. Oh. See? Universe confirms. Awesome. So somebody asked a few minutes ago, they said, are you guys ever going to do in-person training? Wouldn't that be fun?
Amazing.
That's definitely in the plans. We're working on that. And I'd love to do one in South Africa
all around the world. Yeah.
So I am planning to, I will make a plan if you are able to. I'll come to Grafranet and we can make a plan. I've already spoken with some peoples on that.
Do you know what? The most beautiful thing is, I think I said this to you before, like there's a farm there and he's got place for people to stay. So there's place for 12 people to stay. And it's literally in the middle of the mountains. There's all wild animals running around, and there's a whole area where you could put up a massive tent and just be working with the land and working with the energy.
It's so beautiful and so healing in that regard. And we could also do clearings. There's a lot to clear as well. So we always I would love to do things like this all over the world.
Yeah, that is my when I see myself in the future, that's how I see myself working, because my in-person work is so beautiful. It feels so beautiful. Like, I love putting my hands on somebody and helping them clear their stuff. Like, it just feels so, that's when the real mama vibe starts coming out, you know. And when you're working, when I went to South Africa a few months ago, and the dragons were so, as you know, they were so vocal with me when I went out there. They followed me the whole way to where I was staying. And one of the messages they said to me was, you need to be connecting people back to this earth and showing them that the only way to heal, it doesn't matter how galactic you are, the only way to heal is to be completely connected to Gaia. And they showed me an image of myself in Africa barefoot, just, you know, with somebody holding them and just helping them clear. And I had all these dragons around me, and they showed me that image, and I went, yeah, this is it. This is what it's about. You know,
I wish you could go to Adam's calendar with me.
I was looking at it this morning. Were
you really? I literally just saw Adam's calendar in my head, and I'm thinking, because I know that area like the back of my hand. I used to have to do tours. So I lived just outside of Kopsawup, and I've seen, well, I wouldn't say live, but about an hour from there. And I used to go there all the time. I know that whole area.
It's just crazy. I was looking at it this morning, and I looked at the lodge. And I was like, that is where I'm going to stay.
We'll have to make a plan. I can't wait. I'm literally counting down the days until I leave for the bush.
I'm so glad we're going to see each other.
Is when I leave. I'm taking 3 weeks off of the podcast, you guys. You guys are going to miss me. Because that's my one time of the year that I come back to myself. I have 3 weeks that I give myself, or 2 to 3 weeks, and I go back to South Africa. It's usually around my son's birthday because he was born in Cape Town. So we take him to visit his other side of the family. And it's my happy place. I adore being in the bush. It is like being home to me. So I'm craving it. I'm missing it.
Me. I know. I cannot actually wait. Like, I just can't believe we're both going to be there at the same time.
That's what I mean. That's got to be
just meant to be. It's just meant to be. I cannot wait to meet you in the flesh.
And the fact that I'm going to be landing in PE, which is just, I mean, that's no way that is a coincidence.
No, I know, and that is the local airport to where I am. It's crazy, isn't it?
So the universe has its own plan, right? We're following the plan very well.
Yeah.
So we have our first practice session together today because Carolyn's practice session is going to be in about 45 minutes. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I can't
wait. We're looking forward to seeing some of you students as well, because for those who don't know, we do the weekend training where we go through everything, the whole protocol. We teach about the protocol and the all the important stuff. But then we also do practice cases for 4 weeks. We do 4 weeks of practice cases. And that's a lot of work. It is a lot. But we do a lot of pro bonos, and we do a lot of location clearings and things like that. And it is so much fun because you never know what you're going to find when we tune in, do we? Yeah. So, yeah, I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who would like to give a session, I'm going to share Casca's page. But please do follow Casca on social media here. I've got her Facebook page.
It's amazing.
So many people liked our chat today. Wonderful. Thank you guys for all the wonderful feedback. We appreciate that.
I always love coming onto your beautiful podcast. You've got such a beautiful community, and I always love the energy of sitting in space with you. So thank you so much for having me. It's just been beautiful.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what we create together.
Oh.
Especially with so many wonderful people coming in. This is the best part about every time we have new students coming in, is we have all these people that bring their own knowledge and expertise and personality and passion to the group. And it really, it's like like sometimes when you have a big fire, you build it up, right? And it starts to die down again. So every 6 months, we just get this new big blaze of passion and excitement and joy coming in. It's just a huge infusion of positive energy, and it's just wonderful. We're so blessed to have you guys.
Oh.
Awesome. So thank you guys for joining us today, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Lots of love.
Bye, everybody.